Welcome to Primility Primer, our morning reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility as we go about our daily lives. This is episode number 34. I am your host, Jared Morris, and it is a Friday, so we are coming to the end of another week of Primility Primer episodes. And yesterday, a couple interesting things happened. So, one, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were discussing someone that we both know and how this person continues to run into problems that at the root of their problems really is a lack of self-confidence, insecurity, and how that kind of leads this person to kind of wildly oscillate between being overly prideful and way too humble, kind of what we talk about here on Primility. And in the middle of the conversation, he says, "You know what he needs?" He said he needs a Primility wristband. It's like, yeah, maybe that would help him to kind of stop oscillating so wildly from one extreme to the other. And then my friend said, "And you know what? I need a Primility wristband. When are you going to send one to me?" And I said, "Well, just give me your address because I'll be happy to send one to you." And the other thing that happened yesterday is we passed 100 wristbands on our wristband wall. Now, this started well before the Primility Primer started. And it dawned on me that I haven't really explained the idea of the wristband very well here on Primility Primer for people who have just found out about the concept of Primility through the primers. And so I wanted to take today's episode to explain the purpose of the wristband, why I wear it, why I send them to people when they ask me for one, and why I would be more than happy, in fact, ecstatic to send one to you if you think it's something that could help you. And really what this boils down to is just trying to keep the concept of primility top of mind. Because as we've talked about before, primility, the goal is not about achieving this perfect, sustained, perpetual state of balancing pride and humility, because that just doesn't happen. It's impossible. And that's just kind of inherent with balance, because as soon as two opposing forces come into balance, now they're at risk of coming right back out of balance. And there's a lot of other forces acting upon them to bring them out of balance. And that is definitely true when it comes to pride and humility. And, the whole reason why this concept gained meaning for me is I constantly, I realized that when I would struggle with things, or if I was having trouble achieving a goal, or if I would make a decision that I would regret, it was typically because I was way too far on one of these sides. And that's why this became a focus for me and a commitment to me to really try to balance these two opposing forces. But I quickly realized that, as I just said, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perpetual. And so it's not something that you can just say, "Oh, primarily, okay, balance, pride, and humility. Got it. Moving on to the next thing." It doesn't really work like that. Like, I think for it to really be a meaningful part of anyone's life, at least speaking from personal experience, it's got to be a daily practice. It's got to be something that we think about, that we focus on. And sure, some of that then will become more intuitive and we'll get better at it. And the gaps between where we're feeling out of balance and where we get into balance will feel shorter, but those gaps will still happen because we're human. We're prone to emotions and things change and we're not always rational. And for all of those reasons. And so for me, when I really started to take this seriously as something that could impact my life, I ordered this wristband on my left hand. I always do my wrist bump with the right hand, and you see the right wristband. But there's a gray wristband on my left wrist, and that's the original Primility wristband, which I ordered, I think, back in 2010. And it really helped me at that time. I was really trying to get back into shape and kind of struggling with that a little bit, and it really helped me to do that. And it was one of those times that it was very meaningful, and it really solidified, hey, this can have an impact. And it's kind of what motivated me to want to start the blog and to want to try and get this idea out there and try and explain it to other people, because it really helped me and I was curious if it could help other people. Well, back in 2014, last year, I had the idea of using the wristbands as basically a way for people to show that they supported the idea of primility, that they wanted to kind of join up and kind of join this mindset. And so I decided that with these wristbands, for people who join the email list, and kind of took that step to show, hey, I'm committed to learning more about this and to allowing you to test out these ideas on me, I decided I'm going to send a wristband to these folks, both as a thank you for the faith that they're showing and giving this idea a chance, and because I think it's really necessary. I really think for this idea to mean something, you got to keep it top of mind. And I can't think of a better way to keep something top of mind than wearing a reminder about it on your wrist. And I went with red instead of gray because red is bold, and this is a bold idea. And you'll certainly see the red a little bit more than you will the gray. And that's the goal, is to keep this top of mind, because I think we can all really unlock extra layers of our potential when we are more consistent at saying, okay, whoa, being a little too prideful here. Shoot, I'm almost being conceited. Let me pull this back with a little bit of humility and rebalance this. Or, hey, I'm sitting on the sidelines. I've got to get up and get going. I've got something worthwhile to say, something worthwhile to do. People will really benefit from this. I can't let this humility turn into meekness. I've got to get up and I need some pride to kind of help me do that. So this balance, this constant tug and pull one way or the other. And again, it's helped me so much with decision making, with making that next decision better. And so that's why I wanted to do this, and why I love every opportunity that I get when people sign up for the email list and then take the next step to request a wristband. Well, I really enjoy the notes that I get to write them and sending them the wristband. And then when people send me in the pictures, because the goal is 10,000 wristbands. And I guess that was the other story that I wanted to share with you, is yesterday we passed 100. So if you go to primility.com/wristbands, you'll see the wristband wall, where I have everybody that I've sent a wristband to who has then sent me back a picture of their wrist with it on. I take that picture, put it up on the wristband wall, and it's there for everybody to see. And you'll go there, you'll see there's many different countries in the United States, all different countries from around, or states in the United States, all different countries from around the world are represented. It's truly become a global thing, which is great. And so if you have been listening, if you like the concept of Primility, if it means something to you, and if you want to see if this could really have an impact on your life, there's a few things that you can do. Number one, keep listening to these Primility primers, because I will keep getting up every day. I'm loving it. Issuing this reminder, exploring these ideas further. This is a great place to go for a daily reminder. But if you want an even more constant reminder, a reminder that doesn't leave you, that is there, maybe when you're struggling with a decision, or when you need a little push, a nudge in the right direction, sometimes looking down and seeing that wristband can be a nice reminder to say, let me step back. Let me use this as a quick framework to help me make my next decision, make my next action a positive one. And if that's you, go to primility.com/join. You'll get on the email list, and then you'll receive instructions for how to get your wristband. All you have to do is just fill out a quick little form that gives me your address, and we can do it that way. And if you just want to email me, jared@primility.com, that's totally cool too. We can do it that way. But again, the idea is to just help keep us in balance as much as we can. But don't get frustrated if you feel like you're out of balance, because it happens. It happens to all of us. It's not about perpetual balance. It's just about a practice, a daily practice of trying to get back into balance as often as we can. And when we truly feel out of balance, having an anchor, having a framework that can pull us back, so we never feel like we're just kind of out there floundering on our own. We've got an idea, we've got this framework that can help. And you know what? There are other people doing it too, and that can help give us confidence in it as well. So with that said, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episodes of Primility Primer. If you are signed up for the email list, you will get the digest later today that highlights all of today's episodes. So if you missed one, you have a chance to look at the headlines, figure out which ones that you want to catch up on. And again, go to primility.com/join, get on the email list. I would love the privilege of sending you a red wristband. So if you think that it's something that could really help you, sign up, request your wristband, and I will get one out to you next week. All right. Thank you very much for listening, for watching this episode of Primility Primer. I will be back next week with a brand new batch of episodes. Have a great weekend. Stay cognizant of your pride and humility. Wrist bump.